For 4 days, I walked through the narrow lanes of the old city, enjoying the romance of being in a city where history still lives, in its cobblestone streets, in its people riding asses, carrying wine leaves and palm as they once did during the time of Christ. This is Jerusalem, home to the sacred sites of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. This is the place that houses the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the place where Jesus was finally laid to rest. This is also the site of Christ's crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. Built by the Roman Emperor Constantine at the site of an earlier temple to Aphrodite, it is the most venerated Christian shrine in the world, and justifiably so. Here, within the church, are the last 5 stations of the cross, the 10th station where Jesus was stripped of his clothes, the 11th where he was nailed to the cross, the 12th where he died on the cross, the 13th where the body was removed from the cross, and the 14th his tomb. For all this weighty tradition, the approach and entrance to the church is nondescript. You have to ask for directions. Even to the devout Christian pilgrims walking along the Via Dolorosa, the Way of Sorrows, first 9 stations look clueless. Then a courtyard appears, hemmed in by other buildings and a doorway to one side. This leads to a vast area of huge stone architecture. Immediately inside the entrance is your first stop. It's the Stone of Anointing. This is the place, according to Greek tradition, where the Christ was removed from the cross. The Roman Catholics, however, believe it to be the spot where Jesus' body was prepared for burial by Joseph. What happened next? Jesus was buried. He was taken to a place outside the city of Jerusalem where other graves existed, and there he was buried in a cave. However, all that is long gone, destroyed by continued attacks and rebuilding. What remains is the massive and impressive rotunda that the Emperor Constantine built. Under this, and right in the center of the rotunda, is the structure that contains the Holy Sepulchre. How do you know that this is Jesus' tomb? I asked one of the pilgrims standing next to me. He was clueless, more interested, like the rest of them, in the novelty of it all and in photographing it than in its history or tradition. At the start of the 1st century, the place was a disused quarry outside the city walls. According to the Gospels, Jesus' crucifixion occurred at a place outside the city walls with graves nearby. Archaeologists have discovered tombs from that era, so the site is compatible with the biblical period. The structure at the site is a marble tomb built over the original burial chamber. It has 2 rooms, and you can enter 4 at a time into the first of these, the Chapel of the Angel. Here the angel is supposed to have sat on a stone to recount Christ's resurrection. A low door is made of white marble, partly worn away by the pilgrim's hands, leads to a smaller chamber inside. This is the room of the tomb, the place where Jesus was buried. We entered in a single file. On my right was a large marble slab that discovered the original rock bench on which the body of Jesus was laid. A woman knelt and prayed. Her eyes were wet with tears. She pressed her face against the slab to hide them, but it only made it worse.